you could go to
Tony.
the chart. Thank you, Mark. And so the bottom line is there's a new economic world out there. And this is really the crux of what we want everyone to understand. There will be two groups of people. And those who have capital, and that's great to have the money. But then there will be those who lend money and those who earn interest as a result of lending their money. And those people will be in a position of authority. And what I see all too often is those who don't have the capital, those who must borrow, and then those who are subject to pay the current interest rate for the money that they borrow. And they find themselves in a position to take orders all of their lives. And I want everyone on the call tonight to just make a conscious decision to be in the group of those who have capital, who lend money, who earn interest, and find themselves in a position of authority. To do that, you must have set financial goals. And that can't be the traditional planning that most people are accustomed to. Mark the next slide, please. So here's the traditional thought process, Everyone wants to focus on rate of return. And rate of return, as far as I'm concerned, is meaningless until you can use the money. So once that money is converted, so if you have $100,000, it increases to $200,000, and it drops back to $100,000, there was no rate of return. You could have only doubled your money had you taken the $200,000 off the table and converted it to cash. And the best example is, boy, when the home market was doing great, real estate was doing great, people would brag about their $200,000 home was worth $500,000. And they really calculated that as a rate of return. And my comment to them is, unless you have stripped the equity out and it's in your pocket in a safe account, or you sold that house and obtained the profit that way, you have no rate of return. And I think many of us know someone, or we've been affected personally by the fact that that $500,000 house has dropped back down to $200,000, and in many cases below $200,000. So the rate of return was absolutely zero. It was a phantom return. Paper returns are meaningless. And that is the circus that many people are participating in. And I want you to sidestep that circus, because what happens next year or this year doesn't really mean anything if that rate of return hasn't been converted into real money that you can spend in retirement. Mark? So let's take a look at how consumers invest their money and how financial institutions invest their money. Because I want you to move from the left side of the ledger where the consumers are and move over to the financial institution side of the ledger. Because trust me, they understand the velocity of money. They understand the efficiency of money. And we need to copy their process if we are to be successful in this new economic era. So consumers, again, when I say accumulating and hoarding, what I mean by that is you're depriving yourself of things that you would like to enjoy today. You're socking all of your money away into 401k plans, IRAs, thrift IRAs, and you're just really saving as much money as you possibly can. And if you step over to the financial institution side of the equation, they utilize the money that we give them as consumers in a far more productive and profitable way. And I'll talk a little bit about that a little later. And I think you will just be thoroughly enlightened as to how money should work and how money is working. And then these individuals on the consumer side, we're very happy to use our money for investments. And all of us have heard of OPM, other people's money, but very seldom do I see people use that strategy. Whereas banks, they use your money. We invest, on the other hand, consumers, we use our money. So when that loss occurs, then you're devastated financially. Whereas when the loss occurs using other people's money, which we will show you how to do a little bit later in this session, you can survive setbacks. And then this third bullet is where individuals hope for that elusive 10% annual return. And that's where traditional financial planning, in my opinion, causes tremendous problems. Because people take this 10% return, they create a financial plan and say, well, if I invest $10,000 a year and I earn 10% on that money, over the next 30 years, I'm going to have this huge pot of money to retire with. And oh, by the way, in retirement, I'm going to continue to earn 10%, so I'll only use the interest and never touch the principal. Yet, the last 10 years, the market has earned zero. And if that were to occur for a second 10 years, then what do you do? So the banks, they are mitigating their risk to near zero. And they guarantee themselves healthy returns. And basically what they do is you deposit the money, they pay you 1%, and they take it to the market and earn 5%. Or they pay you 3%, they take it to the market and earn 10%. And they keep the spread. They keep the difference. And they have never used their money.